Financially raw, real, authentic wisdom with Lourens from Retire Rich and Happy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Financially Raw. I'm your host, Lourens, and I look forward to this hour that I'm going to spend with you and the topic that we're going to discuss. I think if you are a small business owner or you starting a business or considering starting a business, or have this bright idea that you need funding for, today is the show for you. We're going to talk about crowdfunding and how you can convince people to give you money to start your business or grow your business. So I think one of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs have is the fact that they cannot get funding to grow their business. And the traditional routes don't always work. So crowdfunding is something that has started over the last decade or so. And it's launched quite a few fantastic success stories. So I'm very excited to share that with you today. And go through the whole crowdfunding so that you understand it a little bit better. As per usual, those of you on our social media channels, you are welcome to send me a WhatsApp if you want to chat with me in the studio. My WhatsApp number is over that side, 082-801-6693. My WhatsApp is open here next to me. Let me just get it open. It is open here next to me, so you can WhatsApp me. Please do not ask questions on the social media channels directly, because unfortunately I don't have access. I'm running the whole studio on by myself, so I don't have access to all the social media channels. But we are on LinkedIn, we are on on YouTube under I Retire. We are on Facebook and Instagram. So if you are watching live, welcome, and I look forward to sharing the time with you. Those of you listening on Berg Studio, there is a shout out button at the top, so you can just press that button if you have any questions or any comments, and I will be happy to discuss it with you and answer any questions you might have. Also in Berg Studio, we're going to have some nice music. As you should know by now, I love my 80s music, so we'll have some 70s as well. So California Dreaming from the Mamas and Papas. We're going to have Enjoy the Silence from Depeche Mode. I Believe in a Thing Called Love from The Darkness, and also some Major Tom from Peter Schilling. So looking forward to that. Those of you on social media, as you know by now, unfortunately we cannot play the music on social media, so then we get blocked for copyright infringement. So while we are doing music breaks, we will have two videos, and we'll see how far we get with those two. The first one will be about how to get rid of debt. So if you are in debt or you have some concerns surrounding your debt, some strategies to get you out of debt. And if we have some more time, we will go into paying off your bond. So before we continue with the actual topic of the show, let's go for a short music break. So firstly, I'm going to say goodbye to the guys on social media, and you can watch that Get Rid of Debt video. That is how you get out of your debt. So the first thing you need to do is you need to create a positive cash flow. You need to look at where can you cut your expenses to create positive cash flow, whether that is 500 Rand a month, 1,000 Rand a month, even 200 Rand a month. The mistake people make is they then want to pay a little bit more on all the different debts that they have. And that is not a way that you build momentum. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at all your unsecured debt, and you're going to write the following information down. You can do it on a spreadsheet, or you can do it on a piece of paper. We have a tool that we've developed for people, which is our debt settlement tool, which does all of this for you. All of these calculations gets done for you. It creates your strategy automatically. And you can order that tool. Now, the normal cost for that tool is 2,999, about 3,000 Rand. But if you order from this podcast, you will be able to get it for 75% off. So all you do is you email info@retirehappy.co.za. The subject is financially raw debt calculator or debt tool. It only has to say debt. So you say financially raw debt, and you say you would like to order the debt settlement calculator tool. And instead of paying $2,999 for it, you will be able to get it for 749 Rand. So it's 75% off of that tool. But you can put it down, you can write it on a piece of paper, or you can do it on an Excel sheet. This is the information you need. The first one is you need to know what the outstanding balance on each of your debts are. The second information you want is what is the interest rate that you're paying at the moment. And then the third one is going to take a little bit of work, and that is what is the minimum payment that I have to make. Now, sometimes this means you have to phone all of these people and say to them, listen, you are saying I have to pay 500 Rand a month. Are you willing for me for the next couple of months to pay 400 instead of 500? Because I'm working on a way to get rid of all my debt, but to do that, I have to reduce my expenses on each separate debt first. And you negotiate with them what is the absolute minimum they are willing to accept. And you put all of that minimum payments that you have to make down. Then what you do is you look at how much money you've saved by negotiating minimum payments with your debtors, or your creditors, with your creditors. And secondly, you look at your positive cash flow. So let's say, for example, you've created 1,000 Rand per month positive cash flow by doing a proper budget, doing the strategic expense planning, etc., etc. Plus, you have created another 300 Rand because you've negotiated with. Guys, welcome back. That was California Dreaming. There was a little bit of a stutter there once or twice, but I decided to just let it go. It should sort itself out. Those of you watching on social media, we will continue the video on getting rid of your debt. So if that is a concern, stick around and we will chat about that, or you can watch that video. It's only about 6 minutes. If you want any of our content, you are welcome to go to our YouTube channel. Just search for I Retire. Please subscribe, and you will get access to all our content. All the information is there. We talk about anything from what insurance is like, how it works, how to spot financial scams, how to budget, everything around financial. And as the show name says, it is financially raw, real, authentic wisdom. So we don't explain things in such a way that people don't understand. We put it in plain language, how things are, so that you can understand and be educated. If you have people that you feel could benefit from our content, please share our social media channels. Also share our YouTube channel with them. I'm sure they will benefit dramatically from the information that we share there. Okay, so let's get going with today's topic, and we're going to talk about crowdfunding. So I'm sure most of you have heard the word crowdfunding, but what does crowdfunding actually mean? And is it something that you as a small business owner can benefit from? So let's look at the introduction first. Crowdfunding has revolutionized the way businesses and individuals can raise money for their projects and ideas. It is a way of funding a project by raising small amounts of money from a large number of people, typically via the internet. In this manual, this is what we're going to go through today. We will explore the basics of crowdfunding and provide tips for launching a successful campaign. So crowdfunding, instead of going to a bank or a financial institution and asking for the whole amount, let's say you need 1 million Rand to start your business. Instead of going to one place and asking them for 1 million Rand, you go to 1 million people and ask them for 1 Rand. And that's basically the principle of crowdfunding. Now, there's a whole bunch of crowdfunding platforms that you could create a campaign with, and then people can invest in your business. So what is crowdfunding? It's a method of raising funds for a project by soliciting small contributions from a large number of people, typically via the internet. So I still remember when I was a small boy, I went to my mom one day and I said, you know what, Mom, I'm going to be a millionaire once, at some time. And my mom said, oh, that's interesting. How are you going to get R1,000,000? And I said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 1,000,000 people to each give me R1, and then I have R1,000,000. And she looked at me and she says, okay, but how are you going to get people to give you the R1? And I said, well, I haven't thought of that yet, but I will find a way. And that's basically the concept of crowdfunding. You create something, you explain it to people, you get their buy-in, and you get 1,000,000 people to each give you a small amount of money. And through that, you then have the funds available to fund your business or your project. The goal of crowdfunding is to gather a large pool of investors, each contributing a small amount of money to support the project. In exchange for the investors, or for the investment, investors receive a reward, such as a product or a service or equity in the company. So there's different ways of doing crowdfunding. So let's have a look at the different types of crowdfunding. There are 4 main types of crowdfunding. The first one is a donation-based crowdfunding. This is the simplest form of crowdfunding, where individuals donate money to a cause or a project without expecting anything in return. So that's basically, usually this is used for things like charities, those kind of things. So it's basically people just donating their funds to the project. Reward-based crowdfunding. This is the most popular form of crowdfunding, where backers contribute money in exchange for a reward, such as a product or a service. So in this case, what happens is there might be a new product that you're going to launch, and you need funds to develop that product. So what you then do is you then give your investors the opportunity to invest in the company, and for their investment, they will get one of those products once it's been developed. So it's almost like a pre-order of products on this reward-based crowdfunding. Then you have equity-based crowdfunding. And in this type of crowdfunding, investors contribute money in exchange for equity in the company. This type of crowdfunding is typically used by startups. So this is where you get investors to give you small amounts of money to fund your company, but you then give them equity or shares in your company, so they will then in future be partners or shareholders in your company. Then we have debt-based crowdfunding. This is also known as peer-to-peer lending. So peer-to-peer means I, as a person, lend to your company. In this type of crowdfunding, investors lend money to a project or business and receive interest on their investment. So instead, again, of going to a bank and getting one big loan, you then rather go to 1,000 people and each one of them give you a small loan. And then there would be interest on that investment that will be paid to the investors. So let's look at, if this is something that you are looking at for your business, let's look at a successful crowdfunding, or launching a successful crowdfunding campaign. Launching a successful crowdfunding campaign requires careful planning and execution. Here are some tips to help you get started. The first one is set a realistic funding goal. Your funding goal should be based on the amount of money you need to bring your project to life. Setting a realistic funding goal is crucial to the success of your campaign. Guys, you can't just say, well, I want to get 10 million Rand if you actually only need 500,000. Crowdfunding is not a way to make yourself rich. It is a way to help you get your business off the ground. Number 2, develop a compelling pitch. Your pitch should clearly communicate your project's vision, goals, and why people should invest in it. A compelling pitch can make all the difference in attracting backers. So this is something you really want to spend time on. Don't just rush through it to get it up and running as quickly as possible. Sit down and develop a compelling pitch. Because if your potential investor buys into your vision, into the product that you want to develop, and they can see the benefit, you will have more investors willing to back your company. Choose the right crowdfunding platform. Different crowdfunding platforms cater to different types of campaigns. Choose a platform that best suits your needs and your target audience. So do some research on the different types of campaigns. Later in today's show, we're going to talk about the top 3 international crowdfunding campaigns, as well as the top 3 South African crowdfunding campaigns. But that doesn't mean you have to go to the top 3. You can use any of the crowdfunding campaigns. So go and really research these campaigns. Talk to the people there. Most of them will have online help functions. Go do some research and make sure that you choose the right one for your campaign. The next point, offer attractive rewards. Your rewards should be tailored to your backers' interests and provide real value. Offering attractive rewards can help you attract more backers. So let's say, for example, you want to launch a new product, and that product's retail price will be 5,000 Rand once you have developed it. You could then say to your backers that, listen, by investing 2,000 Rand or 2,500 Rand now, once the product is launched, you will get one of those products for the amount that you invested. So something that would have cost them 5,000 Rand, they now get for a 2,500 Rand investment up front, which is 50% less. Plus, they would be one of the first people to have this product. So you create that interest with your backers in getting something for a fantastic price. And secondly, being the first person to own that product, which is that pride of ownership that you're giving them. Okay, so the next one, promote your campaign. You can't just launch a crowdfunding campaign and expect people to find it. You need to actively promote your campaign through social media, email marketing, and other channels. Guys, crowdfunding is not something that you just create on the internet and you sit back and the money just rolls in. You need to tell people. People need to find you on those crowdfunding platforms. Remember, these crowdfunding platforms have hundreds, if not thousands, of different crowdfunding campaigns. You need to find people to go there, find your campaign, get convinced to then back you. So it is not as simple as just creating the campaign, sitting back and the money just rolls in for you to run your business. Keep your backers informed. Your backers are investing in your project, so it's important to keep them informed of your progress. Regular updates can help build trust and keep backers engaged. Also, those backers can become future clients of yours, especially if you have some kind of product or service that creates ongoing clients. So always, when your backers come in, put their contact details on an email list and make sure that they get constant updates on what is happening with their investment and your development of the business. Okay, so let's go for another short music break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the top 3 international crowdfunding platforms and how you can get involved with them. And then again on social media, we're going to continue with that video on getting rid of debt while we then go for a music break on Berg Studio. So guys on social media, enjoy the video. Your creditors to give you a lower payment. Now you have 1,300 Rand a month extra, which you're going to allocate towards your debt settlement strategy. So that 1,300 Rand at the end of the month then goes towards paying off your debt sooner. And how you do that is you choose one of the debts and you start focusing all your energy and attention on that debt. All the other debts, you pay the minimum amount that they are required, and one debt you tackle with everything you have, and you get rid of that debt as quickly as possible. So if you have 1,300 Rand extra, you pay the normal premium on that debt, plus you add the 1,300 and you start paying that debt off sooner. Now the question I then get here is, which debt do I choose? Do I choose the highest interest debt, or do I choose the one with the lowest balance? Now the tool gives you the options and you can play around with the options because it does the calculations for you. But it's not a hard and fast rule whether it's the highest interest one first or the lowest balanced one first. Most often, if you tackle the one with the highest interest and then second highest interest and then third highest interest, you will pay less interest over the period of you settling the debt. But the problem is sometimes the one with the highest interest is also the one with the highest outstanding balance, which means you're going to pay off on that loan extra for so long that it's going to feel like you're not making any progress. So in that case, what I do is I look at the one with the lowest balance, get that one done so that you can have a win under your belt. Because that feeling of achievement of getting rid of that first one and then the second one and then the third one is an amazing feeling to motivate you to continue in this process. So let's say, for example, I have two debts that are very close to the same outstanding balance. So let's say on one, I have a 12,000 Rand outstanding balance and the other one I have a 13,000 outstanding balance. But the one on the 13,000 outstanding balance has a lower interest rate, a higher interest rate than the one on the 12,000. Then I would first go for the 13,000 because that will save me more interest. But it's so close to the other one that I'll also get it paid off quite soon. So the big thing here is you want to focus on a debt that you can get a win as quickly as possible. Okay. But also it's pointless to then focus on a debt that has zero interest because that doesn't really cost you any interest. But you want to get a win as quickly as possible. So then what you do is you throw all your energy into that one debt. So let's say that one personal loan of yours, you are paying 1,000 Rand a month, you adding the 1,300 Rand a month, and within 4 months you've now settled that loan. What you then do is you now have that 1,000 plus the 1,300 that you were paying or that you had as positive cash flow. So now you have 2,300 Rands positive cash flow available. So from the next month, you choose the next debt and you take that 2,300, that whole amount, and you put it extra towards the next debt and get that paid off as soon as possible. Then you take all of that positive cash flow and go to the next debt. So what you will see is it will create a snowball effect. Initially, you pay an extra 1,300, then you pay 2,300, then you pay 3,000, and so the debts go quicker and quicker and quicker. You might have a 6-month period for your first debt, but then only 3 months for the second one, and then 2 months for the next one, and then you pay off 2 in 1 month, and you'll see this momentum shift happening. And you move through this until you have paid off all your debt. And you can do this within 12 to 18 months, even quicker depending on what your debt situation is. And once that is done, you're sitting in a situation where you have financial stability. You've taken control of your cash flow because you've created a proper budget, you know where your money's going, plus you've created And welcome back, everyone. That was Enjoy the Silence from Depeche Mode. Those of you watching on social media, you watching the video on getting rid of debt. I think there's another minute or so left, so we're almost at the end of that video, and then we will move over to a video on paying off your bond. There's 4 strategies that we teach, and that was a recording that was done when I had my show on Mix FM. So there's no video, it's just the recording of the show, but very powerful content, so listen to it. I'm sure you're going to benefit from it. So let's continue with our discussion on crowdfunding, and as you can see on the screen again, you have our telephone number there. You can contact me at retirehappy.co.za on the website, info@retirehappy.co.za, or our telephone number 087-809-0603. Also, you can WhatsApp me on 082-801-6693 if you have any questions. You can also press the shout out button on the Berg Studio website and talk to me in studio. I saw on our Facebook feed we have Nexus X following us and saying hi, good morning everybody from Nexus X, good to have you watching. So let's continue with our discussion of the top 3 international crowdfunding platforms. the first one is Kickstarter. That's the most well-known crowdfunding platform in the world as far as I know, and you can find them at www.kickstarter.com. It is one of the world's largest crowdfunding platforms, founded in 2009, so it's been around for 14 years. It is best known for helping to launch many successful creative projects, from films and music albums to tech gadgets and video games. Kickstarter uses an all-or-nothing funding model, which means that if a project fails to meet its funding goal, no money is collected from the backers. So basically what happens is, if you put a goal of 1 million rand on there, so it will be in dollars, but let's say the equivalent of 1 million rand on there, and at the end of that campaign you only have 990,000 rand. What will happen is the campaign ends and the money will not be collected from the backers. It will just go back and you won't get anything. So it is all or nothing. You either reach your goal or you get nothing. You don't get a portion of it. Indiegogo, Indiegogo.com, it's another well-known crowdfunding platform founded in 2008. It has a wider range of project categories than Kickstarter, including creative projects, charitable causes, and even personal fundraising campaigns. So if you need that life-changing plastic surgery done, then you can do a personal fundraising campaign there. Indiegogo uses both all or nothing and flexible funding models, giving project creators more options for how they want to run their campaigns. So there you can actually say, listen, the goal is to get to 1 million, but at that point, whatever we have collected or whatever we had pledged, we will then get. Then we have GoFundMe. It's gofundme.com. It's a popular crowdfunding platform for personal fundraising campaigns, such as medical expenses, education costs, and community projects. It was founded in 2010 and has helped people raise billions of dollars in donations. GoFundMe uses a flexible funding model, which means that creators can keep whatever funds they raise, even if they don't meet their initial funding goal. So GoFundMe, more for your personal things or your community. So that's not necessarily to fund a new product that you want to launch or a new company that you want to launch. But what about South Africa? Do we have some crowdfunding platforms in South Africa? And I didn't actually know we had South African crowdfunding platforms. So I think it's amazing that we have these platforms that we can use in South Africa. The first one is Thunderfund, and it's thunderfund.com. It's a reward-based crowdfunding platform that connects entrepreneurs and innovators with investors and supporters. So that's a little bit of a unique way. It's connecting entrepreneurs with investors. So there's already investors that are on Thunderfund that are looking for projects to invest in, which is amazing if you want to build a new business. Projects can range from technology and innovation to arts and culture, with a focus on promoting social impact and community development. Then we have backabuddy.co.za. It's a donation-based crowdfunding platform that allows individuals, charities, and community organizations to raise funds for various causes and needs. Projects can range from medical expenses and education to disaster relief and animal welfare. So BackaBuddy is again very similar to GoFundMe, where it is focused a lot on individuals, charities, and communities. Then we have uprise.africa, and the website is uprise.africa. So it's actually uprise, and .africa is like .co.za, it's just .africa. So Uprise is an equity-based crowdfunding platform that allows businesses and startups to raise funds by selling shares to investors. The platform focuses on supporting South African entrepreneurship and innovation, with a range of industries and sectors represented. So it's specifically focused for South African entrepreneurs, and it's focused on businesses and startups. So again, that is a very good one if you are looking at starting a new business. So let's quickly run through the pros and cons of crowdfunding. Let's look at the pros first, and then we're going to have another music break, and then we'll come back and discuss the cons of crowdfunding. So the first one is, the first pro, or the positives, is access to capital. Crowdfunding allows individuals or businesses to access capital that they may not be able to obtain through traditional financing methods such as bank loans or venture capital. So again, it's an alternative opportunity for you to get capital to grow your business if you can't qualify on the normal routes that you're going. Secondly, customer validation. Crowdfunding allows individuals or businesses to test the market and validate their product or service with potential customers before investing significant time and money in the development, especially if you go and you do like a pre-order of your product that you want to launch. Marketing and exposure. Crowdfunding can be a powerful marketing tool as it allows individuals or businesses to generate buzz and attract a wide range of potential customers and investors. So again, if you go and you really take your campaign out and you create awareness for it through social media, through going on community sites, etc., etc., it can create quite a bit of buzz for your business. Community building. Crowdfunding can help to build a community around a particular product or idea, creating a sense of ownership and engagement among supporters. Then the last one there, equity financing. Some crowdfunding platforms allow businesses to offer equity to investors, giving them a stake in the company and potentially leading to long-term partnerships and support. You never know who one of these investors are that's buying a stake in your company and could lead to a lot of more developments that you can get to. Okay, so that is the pros of crowdfunding campaigns. The question though is, what are the cons? What are the negatives and the risks that you need to take? So when we come back after our music break, we're going to talk a little bit about the cons of crowdfunding. So let's continue. Those of you on social media, we're going to finish the video on getting rid of debt, and then I'll move over to the video of paying off your bond. So enjoy. Positive cash flow by getting rid of this debt so that you don't have to pay interest anymore. You can now take that money and start creating interest by investing it. And that is what we will chat about at a later stage, is what do you do next? Once you've now paid off your debt, what happens next? Guys, thank you for joining me this morning. I really enjoyed our chat about managing your debt. Like I said, if you want to order that debt settlement tool to help you create your strategy, you can order it from our offices, info@retirehappy.co.za. Your subject line just says financially raw debt, and then you can just say you want to order it. It's 75% off if you put that in, so you can get it for 749 Rand. Have a great weekend, and look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Damien and Saskia V on Mix 93.8.
So like I promised, we have Lourens Oberholzer in studio from Retire Rich and Happy. How's it going today, Lourens?
Hey, good on you, Damien.
So today we're going to be chatting about 4 strategies to pay off your bond in half the time. Now, please share these secrets with us.
Yes.
Bonds are scary things. You end up paying for years.
Yeah, and it's the biggest expense that most people will make in their life, the biggest amount of debt that most people will make. So it's something that we want to get rid of as quickly as possible, because while you're still paying your bond, it's not your property, it's actually the bank's property, and you're paying them rent to live there. So you want to get rid of that as quickly as possible. Okay, so here's the 4 strategies. Now, the first one is the simple one, the one that most people know, and that is paying a little bit more every month into your bond. So it's very straightforward. You decide on a 200, 500,000 Rand, you pay extra. What the thing is with that is people don't understand the effect that a small amount makes. They think if I can't afford to pay an extra 1,000 Rand, then it's not going to be worthwhile. And even
versus putting in a couple $100.
Exactly. Even 100 Rand makes a difference. On our calculator, I just did the calculation quickly. On a 1.2 million bond, if you put 100 Rand a month extra, you will save 6 months and about 70,000 Rand over the term of your bond from
Just
100
$100.
100 Rand a month extra.
Wow.
So even if you can only do 50 Rand or 100 Rand, do it because it makes a huge difference. Okay, so that's the first one. The second strategy is to make annual payments. Most people get a bonus, a tax refund that they're getting, or they're getting some annual payments. If you can commit to make an annual payment once a year of, say, 10,000 Rand, or a portion of your 13th check, take half of that, put it into your bond instead of going on holiday, and that will also make a huge difference. Okay, so once a year you do that. So let's say, for example, just to look here at the calculator again, let's say, for example, you can put in 10,000 Rand once a year. So let's have a look at that. Just want to get there quickly. So additional annual payment, let's call it 10,000 Rand. A 10,000 Rand additional annual payment every year on your bond will make a difference of, it will bring it down from 240 months, 20 years, to 199 months.
And that was The Darkness. I believe in a thing called love. Those of you watching on our social media, we are watching the video on paying off your bond and the 4 strategies that you can use to get rid of that bond as quickly as possible. I had a discussion with clients yesterday or last night, and we're just doing one of the 4 strategies could reduce their bond payment term by half. So it makes a huge difference. So feel free to continue watching that video. You don't want to miss it. It is really powerful tips that you get there. So let's continue with our discussion. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the negatives or the cons of crowdfunding. What you need to look at. The first one is lack of control. Crowdfunding often involves giving up a degree of control over the business or the project, as investors may have expectations or demands that conflict with the original vision. So the more investors you have in your business, the more different points of view you might have. So if you go for the equity crowdfunding, be careful that you don't give away so much of your business that you eventually lose control over your business and the vision and the direction of your business. Secondly, high fees. Crowdfunding platforms often charge high fees for their services, which can eat into the funds raised and reduce the overall return on investment. So be careful of those fees so that you don't collect money, but half of that just goes into fees that you can't use to build your business. Competition. Crowdfunding can be highly competitive, with many projects vying for attention and funding on the same platform. So it is so important that you add your own marketing to drive people to your campaign, because it can be lost very quickly, especially if you're using one of the big crowdfunding platforms. So remember, at any given point in time, there might be hundreds, if not thousands, of these campaigns running. Just expecting yours to stand out and get all these people are not going to work. You have to drive it and focus on getting people aware of your campaign and the benefits and drive them to that campaign of yours. Reputation risk. Crowdfunding campaigns can attract negative attention and damage the reputation of the business or individual behind the campaign. So guys, it is very important that when you do this, you are your word. What you said the investors are going to get, you make sure that they get it. So it is important that you communicate with your investors and that you are your word. What your promises are, you need to fulfill. Legal and regulatory complexity. Crowdfunding can be complex from a legal and regulatory perspective, with different rules and regulations depending on the platform, the type of campaign, and the jurisdiction. So if you decide to go onto one of the international crowdfunding platforms, you need to make sure that how they work and what they do does fall within the legal framework of South Africa. This can create additional costs and challenges for businesses and individuals seeking to raise funds through crowdfunding, because you do want to have an attorney look through it, make sure that you comply with all relevant legislation. Okay, the next part of the discussion, 5 pitfalls to avoid when considering crowdfunding. So the first pitfall that people that you want to avoid is to overestimate the market demand. It is crucial to do market research to ensure that your product or service has a viable demand. Overestimating the demand may lead to failed campaigns. So guys, especially if you're going to spend some money on marketing and creating marketing material and hype on social media, etc., going on radio maybe and having a discussion on your product, sending people to your campaign. If these things is money that you're going to invest into building this crowdfunding campaign of yours, you have to make sure that you're not overestimating your market demand, because if that crowdfunding campaign of yours fail, it could cost you more money than you are actually getting from your crowdfunding campaign. The next one, lack of preparation. A lack of preparation may lead to poorly executed campaigns. Before starting your campaign, you should have a solid plan that includes a timeline, marketing strategy, and communication plan. So take the time, sit, work through, make sure you know exactly what your plan of action is going to be, and you are comfortable that the campaign and the marketing material around your campaign is strong enough to draw people to your business. Number 3, ignoring the cost. Crowdfunding campaigns come with costs, such as marketing expenses, platform fees, and rewards fulfillment. Ignoring these costs can lead to failed campaigns or unanticipated expenses. So guys, if your campaign fails, but it's cost you a couple of $1,000 to create and run that campaign, you get zero and that money is out of pocket. So be careful. Make sure you understand the costs. Make sure you budget for those costs before you do your crowdfunding campaign. The next one, offering unrealistic rewards. While rewards are an excellent way to incentivize contributors, offering unrealistic or unattainable rewards can lead to disappointment and damage your campaign's reputation, as we discussed in the cons or the negatives. So be careful with what you offer your investors. If you say to your investors, we're going to give you 40% return from year 1 on your investment, it might be unrealistic. And if you do not attain that, and a lot of people will do that, they will create unattainable or unrealistic returns or rewards because they're scared if they don't make these bold claims that people won't invest in their product or service. The problem with that is it can come back and bite you, because it will damage your reputation if you can't deliver on these promises you've made. The next pitfall is poor communication with backers. We've spoken about that earlier. Communication is essential in crowdfunding campaigns. Poor communication or lack of updates can lead to backers feeling ignored or unappreciated, leading to negative feedback or reviews. So remember, on these platforms, there are places for the backers to communicate with one another, to leave feedback, to review your campaign. You don't want negative reviews on there, because that can cause your whole campaign to fail. So, in conclusion, crowdfunding is a powerful tool for bringing ideas to life. So it is something that is very powerful that you can use to help you launch your business or grow your business or take it to the next level. By following the tips outlined, you can increase your chances of launching a successful crowdfunding campaign. Remember to plan carefully, develop a compelling pitch, and actively promote your campaign to attract the support that you need. If you are looking to build your business and you don't know where to find funding to grow your business, this is really something that I would suggest you research, go find out how it works, go do some market research on your product or your business or your company, and see what the appetite would be for people to invest in your company. Take it, be careful, don't overpromise and underdeliver, and also make sure you've got all your planning right before you launch your campaign. So that is our show for today. Those of you watching on social media, I'm going to continue or finish with that paying off your bond video. You can finish that one. And those of you on our Berg Studio show live, we're going to play out with 2 songs. So let's first say bye to everybody on social media. Thank you for joining me. Remember, next week, same time, same place, we will have another discussion, and we're going to play out with the rest of the video on paying off your bond. Cheers, everyone.
It's 40 months. It's almost 4 years. The savings over the term is almost 500,000 rand. That
So
you're going
you
to
could save $500,000 rand by just putting aside 10 grand a year.
10 grand a year is a once-off payment into your bond once a year.
It's crazy. You don't actually think how much it adds up.
Yeah. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize when they buy their house. On a 1.2 million bond, over 20 years, on a 10.5% interest, you will pay interest of 1.67 million over 20 years. That's more than what you actually bought the house for. So everything you pay extra go off automatically from the capital amount.
Okay.
And that's where you save your interest.
Okay, so you're just trying to shrink that amount as quickly as possible.
As much as possible, as quickly as possible. Yes. Okay. So the third strategy, and this one is probably the most powerful of the 4. And it's something that people don't think about doing. And that is to increase your payment on your bond every year when you get your salary increase. So if you look at everything else in life, your medical aid increases, your water and lights increase, your electricity increase, your everything increases. But we don't increase our bond. We tend to keep it at the same level. So if you go and you say, listen, I'm going to, I get a 6% increase this year. I'm going to take 2% of that 6% and increase it into my bond and increase my payment with 2%. And you do that again over a period, the whole term of the property, a 2% increase per annum. I'm going to show you the difference it makes. So let's say annual percentage increase 2%. That will make a difference of, it will bring down your property value, the term, hold on 1 second, sorry, this calculator now did something. I put 200% instead of 2%. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2% will bring your term down to 179 months. So from 240, that's
179.
to 179 months. That's a saving of 730,000 rand over the term, and that is just putting an extra 2% every year onto your bond.
And that's a crazy amount of money. That's almost another 1-bedroom property.
Again, that you could have paid off, and you could have rented that property out and then got the rental income from there. Okay, and then the last one, the fourth one, this is for people that really don't have extra cash flow, but they do want to pay off a little bit. So what you do with that, it's a little bit more involved, but you basically take any money that you have extra and you park it into your access bond instead of leaving it in your savings account, leaving it in a money market account. Or you can go and take your debit orders, move them from the 1st to the 15th of the month. The amount that would have gone off on debit orders, you then put into your access bond for that period of time, and you will save the interest on that. And then at the 15th, you withdraw that money again, and then you just pay your debit orders at that stage. And only because that money is lying in your bond for like 10 or 15 days, you save interest on that over that period. So if you take 15,000 rand, you put it into your bond for 15 days, you will save about 100, 110 rand in interest for that month. And we've seen what 100 rand extra does. It's for 40, what did we say, 70,000 rand saving by just moving money around. So that is for people that really can't afford to pay anything extra, but they're willing to do the little bit of extra admin work and still pay off their bond quicker.
These 4 strategies are really cool because I think it serves a lot of different people. You might have a job where they say, okay, during your birthday period, we're going to pay you a bonus.
Exactly.
And now, cool, I can take a bit of that money.
Yes.
Or at the end of the year, or, you know, you get your
tax
increase
refund.
or your tax refund.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Would you like to attempt this question that we got in earlier?
Okay. Before we get there, just quickly. So what you want to do is you actually want to use as many of those 4 strategies as possible because they build momentum. The one.
So you don't have to use one at a time. You can.
You can do all 4. If you can do all 4, you have that momentum building that you get. All right.
Wow. So we've still got Lourens Oberholzer in studio with us from Retire Rich and Happy, and we're answering some questions. So we got one in that said, should I rather pay off my bond before I start saving for retirement? So I suppose it's quite a tricky one.
Yes, and it's a very good question. So it's one that I get quite often. So in theory, if you are in your early or late 20s and you decide, listen, I'm going to pay off my bond first, take all the money that I was paying on my bond and then start investing it, and you do the maths, you should get out at a better end value than you would if you did it the other way around. But that's in theory.
Yeah.
In practice, it doesn't work, and that's that I've seen over with experience. So what happens in practice is you want to do it, so you pay all that money you don't save. You pay all that money into your bond. Then when you get into your 30s, you have your second child. You've now paid off half your house, and then the wife says, listen, we need to buy a bigger house because it's too small now. So then what you do is you buy a bigger house, put all that money in the bond, and you start paying it off again. So by the time you're in your 40s, you only get your house paid off, and then it's too late to start saving for retirement. So yes, in theory, it could be a good idea, but in practice,
in a perfect world,
very, very seldom works. So I don't always suggest that to clients. I'll say, it's not an either or. It's a combined strategy between the two. Focus on paying off your bonds sooner, but put money away for retirement savings as well.
Okay, fantastic. So this one's a bit longer. I don't think we're going to get completely into it. No. Let's try and scratch the surface. It says, hi guys, it's all good and well letting strategies pay off a bond quicker, but with the government's proposed constitutional amendments potentially affecting personal property rights, would it be wise to enter into the real estate market now?
Yes.
Especially if one's already vested in property and you need to consider an exit strategy, and what would the effects be if the government did force a mass offload of property due to their attempts to relieve title holders of their property rights?
Okay, geez, there's like 15,
a mouthful.
15 questions in one. Okay, so it's going to be there's not going to be enough time to go into depth into that whole thing. So is it Warren?
Yes, it was Warren.
So Warren, please contact us if you want to discuss it a little bit further. They can send us an email to info@retirehappy. Telephone number 087-809-0603. But I'll quickly touch on it. The first thing is a lot of people are uncertain and scared about what's happening with property rights.
Yeah.
So the first thing people need to understand is it's still going to take years before they get there. They're only starting with the discussions around the expropriation without compensation. It's going to take at least a year before those discussions are finished. Then it's first going to go through
all the committees, and
then it's going to be at least 5 years before anything gets changed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Secondly, the government is focusing on agricultural land, not so much privately owned property, etc., etc.
Okay.
So I think we're a little bit. It's too early to start becoming scared and selling off properties, etc., etc. So I would still continue with investing in property. It still stays one of the best investments, but there's more to it, which I would like to discuss in more detail. But we don't have enough time for that.
For sure. So if you'd like to contact Lourens Oberholzer from Retire Rich and Happy, you can do two things. You can call him on 087-809-0603 or simply SMS 33903. You send the word RRH and your name and they'll get back to you. And then the email address again?
It's info@retirehappy.co.za.
Perfect. Lourens, thank you so much. We'll chat to you again soon.
Yes, we'll chat again. Cheers.
That was Lourens Oberholzer from Retire Rich and Happy, chatting 4 strategies to pay off your bond in half the amount of time.
Damien and Saskia V on Mix 93.8. Financially raw, real, authentic wisdom with Lourens Oberholzer from Retire Rich and Happy.